This is our first video. We are going to learn all about the tools that you could use in a kitchen while you're baking. And we're going to start out by looking at the things you use to measure ingredients. So first we have measuring spoons. And I have 4 for every station. I've got 1 tablespoon, got a teaspoon, got a half teaspoon, and a 1/4 teaspoon. You might also find sets of spoons with an 1/8 teaspoon, and that's really cool too. We're going to learn how to use these, but for now, if you want to start baking at home and you don't have all of these items, you can order them and look around for that type of thing. Then we've got these are measuring cups, and we've got 1 cup, that's the biggest one. Then we have a half a cup, which is half of 1 cup. Then we have a third of a cup. That means that 3 of those, 3/3 cups would fit into 1 cup. That's what 1/3 means. And then we've got a 1/4 cup. So again, 1 cup, a half, a third, and a 1/4. A 1/4 cup is also written as 1/4, like 1/4 of a cup. And that means that 4 of these would fit into 1 of these. And I know it doesn't look like that, but if you had like flour or sugar or something, it would take 4 of these things to equal the amount of flour or sugar in the 1 cup. So those are our measuring cups. Next, we've got mixing bowls. This is probably the smallest that I would go. You can have smaller ones, but I don't think practically we use this very much, the small ones. Mixing bowls have a different shape because they've got sides that are more upright, and that means that when you're mixing, stuff doesn't spray everywhere. So I don't know if you've ever tried to like use a hand mixer with brownies or cookies or something. If you start the hand mixer at the wrong angle, ingredients spray everywhere. So when you have a mixing bowl, it kind of prevents that from happening. I mean, to some extent, you might have like some spillage of ingredients, but in general, the reason the sides are more upright as opposed to like this type of bowl where it's like out more, you see what I mean? How the sides are kind of out? These sides keep the ingredients in better while you're mixing. And I have a ton of sets of these bowls at home, and if you want to get started in baking, you can get one that's about this size or maybe even a little bit bigger, because some of the larger cakes, the ingredients won't fit in a bowl this size. Now, one measuring utensil I didn't tell you about is the measuring cup for liquids. These are measuring cups for dry ingredients, and these are measuring cups for liquids. We're going to learn all about measuring very soon, but for now, that's all you need to know, is that this is for a liquid measuring cup. This is dry measuring cups. These are for like powders and even like pastes, like soft butter. You can use these, or what else? Crisco, things like that. This is for liquids though. Peanut butter would be in the dry. Okay, back to this. Next, absolutely essential. When I took FCS here at Northampton, my teacher called this a rubber bowl scraper, which I find kind of clunky. So basically, we're just going to call this a spatula. This is a spatula. It is made of rubber on the end. Okay, this whole white part is made of rubber. And they make them out of silicone too. I tend to prefer the ones that are not as sticky as silicone. Sometimes silicone is very sticky. If you can find a non-sticky one, you're good to go, but you do want it to be flexible. The reason for that is because you see how it's curved right here? That allows you to take your bowl and scrape around the side. If this bowl were full of cookie dough or cake batter, I might scrape it out with my spatula, with my rubber bowl scraper or spatula, and into the pan or into some other vessel. Spatula, so important, so important. Find it in your kitchen, and if you don't have one, just go to the dollar store and get one. Next, a wooden spoon. When I first got married, I didn't have a mixer to start, and I wanted to make chocolate chip cookies. And the chocolate chip cookies were really, really tough. Like, the dough was tough. And I needed something to stir it with because I didn't have a mixer. And I took a spoon that was like metal, kind of like this, and tried to use it, and it bent right away because the dough was so thick. Wooden spoons are awesome. They do not bend at all. They can break, but I've never actually seen a wooden spoon break, ever. I've never seen it in my life. So if you have something tough to stir, use a wooden spoon. Okay, this, when I took FCS here, they called a spatula. So we're gonna call it a turner, because it flips things, or a flipper, a turner, a flipper. I'm not gonna go totally crazy with the distinction between flipper and turner, but we're gonna call this a spatula. We're gonna call this a turner. If I accidentally call this a spatula, don't hold me to it, because it's the way I was taught back in 9th grade and it never fell out of my head. So this is a turner, this is a spatula, but some people also call this a spatula. This is for when you finish baking something, to lift it off of a pan safely. It should be flexible, and if you're doing cookies especially, it should be relatively thin. Some of the cheaper ones have thick paddles right here, and thick will bend your stuff as you're trying to scoop it off of your cookie tray. So please choose one that's thin. All right, next we have a whisk. This is called a wire whisk. There are several different kinds of whisks, but this is the one that we have in our kitchens here. It is for whipping stuff. These two items here are called offset spatulas. I don't know if you can tell, but they come down at an angle and then come straight. These are good for frosting things. If you plan to get into cakes or cupcakes, you're gonna wanna get one of these. I like small ones actually, probably just because I think on a small level, just being short and all. So I have used big ones before for large cakes, but in general, I find that a small one is all I need. Again, they're called offset spatulas, and they're for frosting. I don't need to describe this to you, I think, because you probably already know. This is called a chef's knife. It's different from a paring knife. It's different from other kinds of knives in its shape. There's the one side that's not sharp, and then the other side that should be very sharp, but so that means you should be careful. We're not going to use a chef's knife too much in this class, unless we're cutting up fruit or something. But in general, I just wanted you to know what it was and the shape of it. All right, this is called a sifter, and it's basically, some people call them strainers even. You can put flour or sugar, anything that has lumps in it that you might want to sift out and make it smooth. And you go like this, and it falls through the holes and creates a dust. You may have a canister sifter in your kitchen that has a handle, and then when you squeeze the handle, it moves the sifter mechanism around and allows the flour to fall out. So that's another kind of sifter, but in this classroom we use these. Okay, this isn't really a tool, but it's very important for baking. This is called parchment paper. It is a paper that you can put in the oven and it will not burn. It is not wax paper. Please do not put wax paper in your oven, okay? It will melt, the wax on it will melt and cause tremendous amounts of smoke. It's been done in here before, accidentally by students, but we noticed it right away and put a stop to it, and it made a total mess of everything when they did it. And I'm sure they didn't mean it, it's all mistakes and you learn from it. But anyway, this is called parchment paper. I can put cookie dough on this, I can put it in the bottom of cake pans, and it prevents sticking. It's very, very good for preventing sticking of items. Okay, finally, this is a mixer. You really, really, really want a nice mixer in your kitchen. Not to say that you can't bake without it, because as I told you, for several years I baked without a mixer until someone I knew donated one to me. But this is a very important tool for bakers. It has a way that you can lock the head down or lift it up. It comes with a mixing bowl, again with those steep sides, and it comes with attachments. Usually mixers come with a whisk attachment, which looks very similar to the whisk that we had before. They come with what's called a dough hook. It's for making bread dough. And then finally, the paddle attachment. This one is the multi-use, you will use it all the time, paddle attachment, okay? If you have a hand mixer, you'll run into the same kinds of attachments. There's always one that's like a little bit thicker, that's the paddle attachment, then there's the dough hook, and then there's the whisk. The whisk, be careful using, because sometimes if you're using it for thick things, it can just get jammed up and clogged because of all those wires. That's why the paddle attachment is much better for baking. Anyway, I think that's all the things. We learned about mixing bowl, measuring cups, measuring spoons, I'm reading a list right under you, sorry. Spatula, wooden spoon, whisk, sifter. I forgot this. Piping bag. Piping bag is for frosting, or doughs, or batters. You put the doughs or batters or frostings into the piping bag. You cut off the bottom part, or some people have reusable ones that you don't cut, but this is a disposable one, so you could cut this. And then you either leave it without a tip, or you can put these metal tips in there. They come either in big sizes or smaller sizes, and they just shape. If it's like a frosting, it provides like a really cool shape for the frosting as it comes out. So again, these are piping tips, and this is a piping bag. We're gonna go much more into that when we do cake decorating. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow. I think we'll do dishwashing or something like that. I'll figure it out.